After many doubts, Rafael Nadal has officially withdrawn from the 2020 US Open Championships. Nadal took to Twitter to announce the news, tweeting, "After many thoughts, I've decided not to play this year's US Open. The situation is very complicated worldwide. The COVID-19 cases are increasing. It looks like we still don't have control of it. We know that the reduced tennis calendar is barbaric this year after 4 months stopped with no play. I understand and thank for the efforts they're putting in to make it happen. We have just seen the announcement of Madrid Open not being played this year. All my respects to the USTA, the US Open organizers, and the ATP for trying to put the event together for the players and fans around the world through TV. This is a decision I never wanted to take, but I have decided to follow my heart this time, and for the time being, I'd rather not travel." This news wasn't a complete shock because Rafa has been saying that he was doubtful about the event and has been practicing solely on clay. Additionally, Nadal originally signed on to play the Madrid Open, which started directly after the US Open. With Madrid officially being canceled today, many people thought he'd reconsider, but he ultimately did not. Nadal's withdrawal is a big blow to the tournament, seeing that the men's defending champ will not be competing despite being totally healthy. This is the first time since the 2004 Wimbledon Championships where only one member of the Big Three is competing at a slam, and the first slam in 21 years where neither Federer or Nadal is in the draw. While there are obviously people who are disappointed with Nadal's withdrawal, many commended the 19-time major champion for not taking the trip, which shows you that a lot of people are against the tournament being played. I also have to commend Rafa just for his actions during this pandemic. He's completely stayed out of drama, didn't start practicing until it was a good time, and has been cautious and taking this thing seriously. I do feel that another big factor, aside from the high US coronavirus cases, was the quick turnaround from clay to hard courts. There's less than a month between the US and French Opens, and I feel that Nadal wants to be adequately prepared for the latter, as he has the better chance of grabbing that slam. Going back to the US Open, I know that many will say that the winners will have asterisks to their names due to the withdrawals of Nadal and Barty. However, the tournament still has plenty of big names and isn't too far off from a regular field. Now the men's side is missing a lot more top players, with Nadal, Federer, Monfils, Fognini, Wawrinka, Kyrgios, Tsonga, Pouille, and Herbert not on the entry list. On the women's side though, Barty, Wang, Pavlyuchenkova, Zheng, Gergis, Zhu, Potapova, Bogdan, Stosur, and Pong are out. However, everything isn't set in stone yet because there are some players that can still ultimately withdraw. Alexander Zverev, Simona Halep, and Alina Svitolina all expressed how unsure they were of playing the slam. Defending champion Bianca Andreescu was also speculated of possibly pulling out, as some noticed she wasn't on the tournament's promotional poster. They later made a separate tweet for Andreescu, but I'm still unsure of her participation, especially seeing that she didn't sign up for the Western and Southern Open. Some related information about both the Western and Southern and US Opens concerns how the bubble will work, and the USTA is not playing around at all. Apparently, if a player leaves the Western and Southern and/or US Open bubble without written permission of the Chief Medical Officer or Tournament Director, the player will be removed from the competition. In that case, the player will receive the points earned from the last round completed and a financial penalty. If a coach or a guest of the player leaves the bubble, then the player's guest credential will be revoked and the guest will be required to leave the hotel within 24 hours. In addition, there will be a fine for a player's guest leaving the bubble, and the guest credential will not be provided for the 2021 US Open. Details regarding the definition of the bubble, the hotel/private home security and monitoring procedures, information gathering to confirm the player or their guest left the bubble without permission and the process to confirm, and the financial penalties will be provided in the near future. Any person who leaves the bubble without permission could be potentially exposed to someone with COVID-19, and so they will need to be isolated from all other Tier 1 individuals. We will require that they stay in that room until they are ready to depart. PCR testing would be offered to facilitate their entry to other tournaments or admission into a foreign country. I know that these guidelines seem overly strict, but I think that they're completely ideal and quite frankly what other events need to do in order to prevent contraction. I've been saying for quite a bit that tournaments need to have their own bubbles and closely monitor their players because World Team Tennis did this and saw 0 cases. With the frequent travel requirements that tennis brings, it's not easy to do this though. The Palermo Open, which is the first pro tournament post-COVID, worries me because there isn't that tight bubble structure and we saw a positive case before the event even started. Donna Vekic revealed a lot, saying that there isn't that bubble feeling at all. I have a feeling that in New York, it will be a real bubble. Here in Palermo, they talk about us being in a bubble, but it's not at all. I don't want to pretend that I'm locked in the room the whole day when I'm not. I went to dinner in the city. For sure we're being careful and not being close to people, but I'm not locked in the room, and 90% of the players aren't. I hope in New York there will actually be fines, and if everyone respects that and it makes sense, then I'm all for it. But if the rules are contradicting each other, then it makes no sense. Frenchman Richard Gasquet actually called out the tournament because players are staying in the same hotel as tourists. It's an absolute scandal that the players are in the same hotel as the tourists in Palermo. I don't know how the WTA can accept such a thing. If you stage a tournament, it's because the hotel is 100% reserved for players and their staff. If you can't, you cancel the tournament. Another thing that might upset Gasquet is players actually bending the rules, as both Sarah Irani and Kaya Yuvan threw their wristbands to fans against the guidelines. While I personally don't believe Palermo will have its happy ending, I hope it and other small tournaments after are successful in having 0 positive cases. That's all for today's video, and let me know your thoughts on Rafa's withdrawal. Do you think more players will follow his lead? Also, how do you feel about the US Open's bubble and Palermo's lack of one? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever we post new developments on these stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.